if you want to get good at something, what do? You take a course, you take some classes, do a workshop, get trained, or you can copy somebody else's work. That's, for artists, an excellent way to get better at something. Today, I'm going to show you some books from other artists that I found useful and I think you might like as well, that give instructions on how to do different artistic things, which you'll see in a moment. They go from the very beginner to the artist with a lot more experience. And I'm going to start with that one first because it's a bit out there. All right, this is the book I thought I would show you first. It's the complete drawings of Leonardo da Vinci. And this book is great, actually, if you want to actually just get better at drawing, because it has so many pictures and you can see the technique often that he followed in order to learn how to draw figures, animals. And for example, look at this, how sketchy the person is, but how refined the front of the horse is. The back is just almost a study in movement. In fact, it's called A Study of a Horse and Rider, and it's from 1481. Here's another one, beautiful piece, same here, but I wanted to show you everything that's in the book. Well, not everything, because there's a lot. He was known for his people, his animals, his drapery, his figures. Look at this, amazing, hey? And the machinery that he invented. Even muscles and bones he worked with to figure out how the body really worked underneath the skin, and made detailed notes as well, which of course I can't read, but apparently he tended to write in a mirror, so everything's backwards anyway. But here's a good example of one. If you don't feel as proficient as this, you might start with something like that and just use it to copy. So there's one suggestion, and like I said, you don't have to start with anything as complicated as this, but if you wanted to learn to draw and draw well, he even did landscapes and maps and that sort of thing, then this kind of book is a good one. In other ones, I'll just go through them kind of one by one here. This is Modern Watercolor, a playful and contemporary exploration of watercolor painting by Kristen Van Leuven. And I've marked some of the pages here because of the composition, but you can see how just looking at these pictures, it's almost like a video on paper, and you can do one stroke at a time by following along, and then you can take all those strokes and make an entire pattern. Here's another one, practicing with colors, but at the beginning, she also talks a lot about color and how to use your paints and all that good stuff. And again, how to do some foliage, a little bouquet of flowers. So much in the book. I would recommend that one. Here's the Watercolor, A Spirit of Spontaneity by Carlin Holman. 34 demonstrations designed to inspire the adventurous artist. Now, I don't know about you, but I love this kind of thing. I love that kind of sketch. I love this kind of scene. They're kind of my favorite. But when you see things like this, it's like you might go, oh my goodness, how can I ever do that? Well, that's how you start. And she's talking about finding an intriguing subject. And that's really important, actually. Look at this. This is the kind of scene I just love. And it's the kind of thing that you can do on plein air, or you're in a city, you can sit on a park bench and draw what's across the street from you, which she shows here in the photo. Here's a landscape. She shows the layers. This is more abstract, starting with a photograph and going back to prehistoric art. So there's lots in this and lots of ideas that will help you decide what direction you want to go when you create something, and also what kind of style you want to use. So when I look at this, I think, this is beautiful. I love it, except that I like this a lot better. So it helps me to go, okay, what direction do I want to go? Same with this. It's beautiful. I've done work like this, but you know, and this is a different style again, not my style. It helps you to figure out your style by deciding or just looking at the pictures and going, which one do I like the best? Which style am I really drawn to? Which style excites me? I mean, this might be something that makes you just go, oh, I want to create that. Whereas for me, I might go, I want to create this. So there's some great demos in here, and this is a beautiful ink and wash. Not really hard to do. Some of it's done with the ink, with the wash first, and then the ink follows. But great ideas and great examples. So this one, again, Watercolor, The Spirit of Spontaneity. I'll put links below for all of these. Here's one that's a little bit simpler. So it's playing with paints. And if you're just thinking that you might like to play with paints, this is a great place to start, because she just keeps things really simple. So if you want to start on something that's not at all daunting, a piece of fruit like this is a good place to start, because you can go, hey, I think I can paint that. Or watermelon pieces, socks, just patterns. But so many great ideas, and simple. Even this, that is so cool, that you can just play with paint and make your own. So just quickly flipping through some of them, how to move paint, a layered pattern, create a repeating pattern, backgrounds, lots of information and lots of fun ideas. And I marked this one because I like this style of starting with a wet on wet background where all the colors just merge together, and then painting over top of that. It's a really fun way to create a picture. That one is Playing with Paints by Sarah Funduck. 100 Prompts, Projects, and Playful Activities. And then there's this one called Watercolor Painting at Home. Transform Your Art into Heirloom Gifts by Blay Hack. Let me just move some of these out of the way. And this one too is quite a good beginner start, but the style is very fun and simple. She paints all the tools instead of photographing, so information on techniques and color theory and step-by-step instructions. Step 1, step 2, so easy to do. And I have some of these marked for some reason. Isn't this fun? I love the fish. But again, here's another one that you can do as a project. Step 1, step 2, step 3, steps 4, 5, 6, and then new ideas. And I really like this one because I like the idea of garden design is kind of fun for me. I like, it's almost like an embroidered sampler. So I marked that one for myself to just go back and look at and paint someday just for fun. And also there's all the gardening things, different flowers, which you can then cut out. So you paint them, then you cut them out, and then you can make a stand-up card or a gift, whatever. What did I mark here? I did this quite a while ago. A little bit about the artist, but this is pretty, isn't it? So there's that one. This one's about gouache, and gouache is opaque watercolor. So if you use a lot of water in it, it becomes just like a regular watercolor. But if you use it a little bit thicker, then it's opaque. And that means you can't see through it, and you can paint over it and get solid colors. But again, lots of information about getting started and how to use it and all that sort of thing. And then just some practice sessions. Sorry, this one is Creative Gouache, a step-by-step guide to exploring opaque watercolor by Ruth Wilshaw. Build your skills with layering, blending, mixed media, and more. So it's got lots of exercises, lots of suggestions, projects, just really fun things. So that's a good one. And then we have Creative Acrylics, a step-by-step beginner's guide to creating with paint and mediums by Carla Kochua. create paintings filled with color, texture, and unique effects, and more. And again, starting with substrates, that's what you're painting on, and how the paint acts, and it's very different from watercolor. I'll tell you that right now. I do both. It's a different medium altogether, but you get lots of information and techniques and different things like that, and then projects. So if you're just starting out, here's an idea, for example. You can paint that, and if you follow step by step, you end up with something that you can be happy with. Here's one about painting clouds, painting sunsets. This is quite a simple one, and the sunset painting always works and looks good. Here's a mountain one. Snowy mountains, fish, lots of fun stuff in that book. And then this is one that I came across. I came across her, I think, on YouTube. This is Ink and Wash Florals, Stunning Botanical Projects in Watercolor and Ink by Camilla Damsbo Brix. Again, she talks about the different paints, the different colors, the color wheel, what to choose, how to do those things. And then 17 flowers in watercolor and ink. So what I'm going to do is one of these flowers today. And one thing I like about her style is the way that she creates and paints. So for example, here's an iris. You just follow step by step, putting in the details with pen. But when she puts the color in, she doesn't just paint the iris. She makes that part of the design. So let's see, let's find a good one here that's fun and easy. I don't think I want to do a tulip. It doesn't feel like spring yet. Let's see. Snowdrops, here's a perfect one because they're actually starting to pop up in my front bed, flower bed already. So what I'm going to do is use this and follow along her steps just so you can, it's kind of like the video to go with the book. And I'm going to use this book, and I'm going to use a micron pen, size. Let's see, maybe I'll do an 02. Let's see. Well, not that one, it's pretty dry. I had an 01 here recently. Where did it go? This one is a 005. That's a good one. It's juicy. So I'm going to start and just follow along how she's done it. Now, I want to make sure that you can see everything. I'll move my watercolors over because I don't need them till after. Oh, here's my 01. Oh, I think I'll use this one anyway. To start with, I can start anywhere I want. So I'm going to start here and make that sort of my size marker. And I can look at this and go, okay, this is only this big. How many of those are in this? So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5. So if I go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before I go back up. And this is not precise, but it works. And then there's this other petal that comes down here. So it's like a closed one because I love snowdrops. They come up, and when the weather gets cold, they just stop. They're like in suspended animation until it warms up again, and then they grow some more. And if you get cold, then it goes, they just stop and then wait. And yeah, they're brilliant. All right, so let's take this up here like this. And then we have a stem. So I'm going to put this stem in. First, there's this kind of leaf thing. It starts down here and goes up, way up like this. And then same here. And then this goes down into it, which is where it came from. And then there's the other side here, so I just talk my way through this a little bit. So that's the source there, and then we've got a long stem. This can be any length you want. Mine's not very straight, but that's okay. And then we've just got these big grasses. They're actually leaves of the plant. I'm going to put a little bit of ground along here like she's got. Okay, I'm not copying her now, I'm making my own, which you can do. So part of the reason I suggest doing this is because you can look at what the other artist has done and go, well, I don't really like it that way, so I'm gonna do it differently. And I feel like I should put a couple more just kind of crossing over or under. And then I want to put some kind of movement down here. But that's enough drawing. Now she's put in some kind of scribbly things like this, which is fine. Maybe I'll do that as well. Kind of adds to the looseness of it. There. So there's my drawing. She's got some tiny little marks in here, which I'm going to put in right now. She's got a little bit of shading here, a little bit of shaping here. I'm going to get my water and then we'll start painting. Okay, so I'm going to see just what she says. She starts out here, sketch a single snowdrop in pencil. Well, I didn't, I used pen. The flower petals are long, teardrop shapes connected to a half oval. This oval is attached to a stem that is bending the head down toward the ground. You can also add a leaf that will go toward the sky instead of bending like the flower head. They can look a little lonely in the snow, so add a bit of grass in different lengths to keep them company. And number 2, take your 01 fine liner. Well, I did a 005, which is a little bit finer yet. And follow the pencil line around the flower. Work quickly around the grasses so that they're not overworked. Number 3, add some fine details in the flower head with your fine liner. You don't need much here because it's such a small and delicate bloom. You can erase your pencil marks at this stage. Well, I didn't put them in there, so now we are all set for the background. Wet a rather big area around the flower with your big brush. I used a size 9, and drip in the background colors. I used a mix of New Gamboge and French Ultramarine. Be careful not to get color on the flower. We want it to stay crisp white. While the background is still wet, you can play around with it. Dip in clean water to make blooms and drip in more paint for a stronger value. This will take a fair amount of time to dry. So while you wait for that, you can always take a break. All right, let's get going on this. I'm going to move this over a little bit. I don't need my pen anymore. She used a size 9. Well, this is a size 10. Let's see. That's a size 12 from a different company, so that it's actually a different size. This is a size 11, again from a different company, so you can't really go by that unless you're doing them all the same company. This one says a 12, which is almost exactly the same. So I think I'll use it. And I need to get my rag. What I want to do here, and I would actually, since I'm just going to wet things, I'm going to use a bigger brush. And what I want to do is go around these lines, but not on them. And it needs to be quite sloppy because the paper is going to absorb some of it. And I don't want that to dry out before I start putting paint on it. Okay? And I'm looking at it sideways so I can see what it looks like in the light. And I do notice that even though microns are supposed to be completely permanent, if they don't get a chance to really dry, sometimes they'll run a little bit. So because I don't want to take a long time doing this, I went ahead anyway, well, when I should have kind of let them dry a little bit. So I need to look here to see where the shine is so that I don't miss anything, or I don't paint over too much and that sort of thing. So I'm going to just choose some random colors that I already have on my palette here, and not, see, I don't want that in there. It's supposed to be dry. And not use exactly what she suggests, because you get to do the same thing, but just paint whatever you want. But when you use books with instructions like this, just keep in mind that this is one person's style and experience and whatever, and you get to actually do whatever you want. You take it and use it however you like. So I'm just putting some leftover pink in here because I like that. These are colors that I used before and they're still on my palette. I'm going to just use some of this green as well. Now you got to be careful when you're mixing colors because sometimes they turn into colors that you don't really want. Now I'm not really keen about this green, so I'm going to paint over it and paint up into here just to give a little more interesting background. And also just being really careful around that white flower. I do like the purple, so I've got some purple in here. I'm going to add some more pink again just so that it's not all in one spot, and fill in some of these little things really loosely, like just kind of flick in some color like that. And then down here I'd like to, what has she got? Sort of blue and green. Okay, let's put in some ultramarine. Do not want it to be that deep. All right, mine is dry because I used this Conair hair curler thing. It was a curling brush. It makes a good dryer. You can also use a hair dryer or a heat gun, or just let it dry, or you can fan it or whatever. So here's what she says. I hope you put your break to good use so that you're ready to paint the snowdrop. Mix the colors again now, using more blue and less water. Take a smaller brush with a fine tip. I use a size 4. This is what I would call a size 4. This is a sable. And add the color to the stem. A few grasses and a bit of color below the grasses to indicate snowy ground. Finally, I take a very watered down mix on your brush and add it very carefully to the flower head for a small shadow. Okay, like she's got a shadow in here. Okay, you want to add just a tad of paint close to the stem and where the small petals overlap. But you know, it's a white flower, so less is definitely more. Okay, and then in step 6 is draw some shadows on the left side of the stem and also to the left side of the petal. So I think she means along here, just to, I don't know, you can't really see it. I can't anyway. So I'm going to take my size 4 and mix some green here. That's quite a green. I think it would be better if it's a little bit more of a spring green. So I'm going to take that. And then she suggests using a little bit of blue in it. So I've already got blue. Now that kind of dulls down that bright green. And then if I have too much water, I can go like this and it just drops it off. And if it's way too much, you can just go like that, and that takes a lot of the moisture out. I want to paint this leaf, paint this stem, which is pretty skinny. That's why you want a brush with quite a fine tip. I'm having trouble staying within the lines, but that's okay because it's really a loose painting. Plus I'm going to just put a little bit of green around the bottom here, and then she suggests putting a little blue just to make kind of like shadow in the soil, which I really like the look of. And there's our flower. Now the only thing I put, she put her background kind of over like this. I put mine kind of everywhere, but it doesn't really matter very much. It's just whatever you want to do. So now I can take my my pen again, and if I wanted to add a little bit more to it, I could put some of these little scribbly things in. So this is actually a little too wet for me to draw on. I'm going to just dry it off quickly. Make sure that you touch it and make sure it's good and dry. And now I think I'm just going to put some little scribbly lines like this. We'll call them grass. There, I think that's plenty. The point of this, as I said earlier, is this is such a great way to learn technique. And in a book like this, where it has every step explained, it's amazing what you learn. This is a really fun one because it's the drawing, but then the color comes on. It's just splashed on there. And it's like fresh and bright and lively and interesting and different. So you can do all kinds of things. I'm going to just take that under advisement and splash a little paint on. Now what color should I use? I wonder. Payne's Gray is sort of a blue-black. There, I think that's plenty. And those little splashes add, I don't know, sparkle or something. The links for all the books that I can find that are still available will be below the video, so please go have a look at them. I love, love, love supporting other artists' work. As artists and creative people, we need to be supportive of each other. Being an artist is not necessarily an easy road, especially if you want to make it a career. However, it's a lovely one, and so if we all support each other, we all do better. Please subscribe to my channel and click the little bell, and I'll see you next time.